How to stay calm in arguments, psychology tricks that work. Your heart is racing, your hands are shaking, and you're about to say something you'll regret forever. Sound familiar? What if I told you that in the next few minutes, I'll show you exactly how to turn any heated argument into a calm, productive conversation using psychology tricks that most people will never know? And stick around until the end because I'll reveal the one phrase that instantly diffuses any argument. It's so simple yet so powerful that it might change how you handle conflict forever. But first, let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed that the people who stay calm in arguments aren't necessarily the smartest or the strongest? They just know something the rest of us don't. Today, you're going to learn their secrets. I'm Matt, and over the past few years, I've studied behavioral psychology and conflict resolution. What you're about to learn isn't just theory, these are battle-tested techniques used by FBI negotiators, therapists, and some of the most successful people in the world. Here's what we'll cover: the 4-second rule that stops your brain from going into fight or flight mode, why arguing back actually makes things worse, and what to do instead, the mirror technique that makes aggressive people calm down automatically, and that one magic phrase I mentioned that works like a psychological reset button, the science behind arguments. First, let's understand what's actually happening in your brain during an argument. When someone attacks you verbally, your amygdala, that's your brain's alarm system, floods your body with stress hormones in just 0.2 seconds. This is called amygdala hijack, and once it happens, your logical thinking literally goes offline for up to 20 minutes. I learned this the hard way when I completely lost it during a work meeting 3 years ago. I said things I didn't mean, damaged relationships, and felt terrible for weeks. That's when I realized, this isn't about willpower. It's about outsmarting your own biology. Now, before I show you the first technique, I want you to think of the last argument you had. Got it? Good, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to handle that same situation differently. Technique number 1, the 4-second rule. Technique number 1, the 4-second rule. Here's how it works. The moment you feel your anger rising, you count to 4 while taking one deep breath. But here's the crucial part, you don't just count. You do what I call the tactical pause. Step number 1, feel the trigger. Step number 2, inhale for 2 seconds while thinking, I choose. Step number 3, exhale for 2 seconds while thinking, my response. Step number 4, now respond from choice, not emotion. This works because you're literally interrupting the neural pathway that leads to reactive anger. Navy SEALs use a similar technique in high-stress combat situations. If it works when people are shooting at you, it'll work in your living room. But wait, what if the other person is so aggressive that you don't even get those 4 seconds? That's where technique number 2 comes in, and it's probably the most counterintuitive thing you'll learn today. Technique number 2, the Aikido Principle. Technique 2 is called the Aikido Principle. In martial arts, instead of blocking a punch, you redirect its energy. Same thing works in arguments. When someone says, you never listen to me, most people respond, that's not true, I do listen, but that's like trying to stop a freight train with your bare hands. Instead, use the Aikido principle, you're right, I could be listening better. Help me understand what I'm missing. Here's what's brilliant about this, you're not admitting fault, you're acknowledging their feeling. Dr. John Gottman's research with over 3,000 couples shows that this one shift can prevent 85% of arguments from escalating. I used this last month when my neighbor complained about my music. Instead of getting defensive, I said, you're absolutely right that it's been too loud. What time would work better for you? The whole conversation changed in seconds. Now, this next technique is so powerful that I almost didn't include it because it feels like cheating. Technique number 3, the mirror technique. Technique 3, the mirror technique. This taps into something called neural mirroring. Your brain automatically mimics what it sees. Here's how it works, whatever energy they bring, you bring the opposite. They are loud? You get quieter. They are fast? You slow down. They are aggressive? You become more relaxed. UCLA research shows that when one person in a conversation significantly changes their emotional state, the other person will unconsciously match it within 60 seconds. You become the emotional thermostat of the conversation. Last week, a client was yelling at me over the phone. Instead of matching his energy, I deliberately lowered my voice and slowed my speech. Within 2 minutes, he was speaking normally. He later apologized and said he didn't know why he got so worked up. But here's where it gets really interesting. There's one phrase that combines all these techniques into what I call the argument reset button. And I'm going to give it to you right now. The magic phrase is, help me understand your perspective. Here's why this is psychological genius. Help me. This makes them feel important and shifts them from attack mode to teaching mode. Understand. This shows you're trying to comprehend, not just waiting for your turn to talk. Your perspective. This validates that their viewpoint matters, even if you disagree. When you say this phrase, you're literally rewiring the conversation. Their brain stops producing stress hormones and starts producing oxytocin, the bonding hormone. It's like switching from war mode to collaboration mode. Taught this to my friend Sarah, who was having constant fights with her teenage daughter. The first time she used it, instead of arguing back, her daughter actually started crying and said, "Mom, I didn't think you cared what I thought." They had their first real conversation in months. Let's put this all together. Next time you're in an argument, use the 4-second rule to interrupt your automatic reaction. Apply the Aikido principle, redirect instead of resist. Mirror their energy by bringing the opposite. Deploy the magic phrase, help me understand your perspective. Here's your challenge. Try just any of these techniques in your next disagreement. I guarantee you'll be shocked by the results. In the comments below, I want you to tell me which technique you're going to try first. And if you've used any of these before, share your story. I read every single comment and your experience might help someone else. If you found this helpful, smash that like button because it tells YouTube to show this to more people who need it. Subscribe if you want more psychology-backed life skills that actually work, and I'll see you in the next one.